Good afternoon. Welcome to Ziggy. This is part 2 of our lecture about Islam. And Islam has been in the news. It's April 22nd, 2024 right now. And what's going on? There's anti-Israel demonstrations at Columbia. And now they're at Yale. And now they're also at Harvard. And at MIT. So they're breaking out that's this morning's news. They're breaking out all over the place. So, what do? As Christians, as Lutherans, rather than sitting here and going, oh, I don't know what the hell, I'm so good, what you want to get some knowledge. So you want to study Islam. Again, if this was the 1930s, I would have you read Mein Kampf by Hitler, right? Why? To understand what you're up against. It doesn't do any good to be ignorant and say, oh, I don't have to worry. You know, it won't come here. Does it come here? Yeah, they flew right down the Hudson River at 9/11. Okay? So you can't just sit here and live in a bubble and act like as long as I come to church and read my Lutheran book of worship and do the Apostles' Creed, we don't have to worry about anything. You have to be informed. You have to stay engaged to the world. Okay? So that's the purpose of this. So let's get to work here. And what is this? This is like college level stuff here. So I'm not pulling any punches here, so you can handle this. So let's get to work. Now, last week we sort of introduced the topic of Islam, and I think we stopped somewhere around here. The person and the life of Muhammad. Okay, stop. How do we do this? We read the Bible, okay? Abraham lives when? Oh, about 2000 BC. David lives about when? About 1000 BC. Jesus lives 7 BC, 33 AD. Okay, so you have a timeline here. Muhammad is like about in here. So, who is the last of those historically? Muhammad. Okay, so it's Muhammad, Jesus, David, Abraham. It goes backwards this way. So, Muhammad, Islam, from a comparative religion argument, comparative religion, it's a new religion. Stop. If you said that to an Islamic person, what would they say to you? They'd say, no, it's not. It's the original, the true religion. And Jews and Christians distorted the true religion. They would say that Muhammad is the seal of the prophets. It means the last prophet. Remember, the last prophet trumps all previous prophets. Okay? So, you compare religion. The last prophet is the one that regulates everything that comes up. So what do we do with that? Like this, ready? This is the Quran. Here's the Bible. Okay? How do you look at the world? Like this. This is the lens that you use. So if something is in here that contradicts the Quran, which document is correct? The Quran. Okay? So Mormonism is the same way. Right? The Book of Mormon is like this, and that's the correct interpretation of the Holy Bible. So this is the lens, interpretive lens. So the last prophet trumps all previous prophets. That's a principle. Okay? So when does he live? 570 to 632 AD. Okay? That's the window we're talking about here. And global storyline. What's the message of Islam? Here's the message of Islam. Right? The axis mundi is Mecca. So you have to memorize 3 things. If I say to you, what are the 3 holy sites of Islam? You go like this. 1, 2, 3. Mecca, Medina, Jerusalem. What are the 3 holy sites of Islam? Mecca, Medina, Jerusalem. Okay? And the axis mundi is Mecca. What does that mean? That I have a Casio watch. Costs like $28, really nice watch, keeps perfect time, and it's classy looking too. They actually have a Casio watch that points toward Mecca. So no matter where you are in the world, you know which direction to pray toward Mecca, okay? I have mine because we're a member of the ELCA, and Pastor Roy Stewart's in Altoona, so I orient the watch. I pray toward Altoona 5 times a day. The great leader, Pastor Roy, okay? So they actually have a Casio watch that tells you, I mean, that's kind of neat. I should get one of those, don't you think? That'd be kind of an interesting thing. A good Christmas gift, Linda. You want to order that for me?
Got it.
Okay, so, all right. So the axis mundi, remember that word? Axis mundi means the center or the navel of the world. Okay? What do Jews think? What's the axis mundi in the Jewish religion? The Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Okay? Do Christians have an axis mundi? Not really. Where 2 or more are gathered in my name, I am present with you. So Jesus is here today. So we're not it's kind of, Christianity is kind of a unique religion. We don't have a geographic place where we gotta be. Roman Catholics would say, oh, the Vatican, okay? That would be the axis mundi of Roman Catholicism, okay? We don't really have one, other than Altoona, Pennsylvania, okay? And it spread rapidly. Remember, Muhammad dies in 632. By 732, where was he? We talked about this last week. It spread over, here's our map of the Roman Empire. Remember how that works? The Roman Empire fell, and it broke three ways. So the western half is Latin Christianity, eastern half is Eastern Orthodoxy, the southern part is Islam. So it broke three ways, okay? So within 100 years, they come up, they conquer all of Egypt, all of North Africa, they cross the straits of the Iberian Peninsula, right? Straits of Gibraltar, 711, and they make it all the way up to the middle of France, the Battle of Tours in 732. 100 years, they made it all across here. And different experts have talked about this. No one seems to know why, what accounted for the success. It's an unheard of thing to conquer that much territory in such a limited amount of time. Just that, you know, there was like a power vacuum, and the Latin Church was very weak and not unified. Eastern Orthodoxy was having like economic and political problems in Constantinople, right? So they were like weak and wobbling, and Islam like bowled them over, okay? So it spread rapidly. Right? And again, these are the three great monotheistic religions. Again, this is all like background stuff again. Remember? 5, right? 5 fingers. Name the three: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Take a breath. Hinduism, Buddhism. Okay, you split it like that. So we're interested in the three monotheistic religions here. Judaism, 2000 BC. Christianity, 33 AD. Islam, 611 AD. So the newest of the three monotheistic religions, according to Compare Religion, Islam would say they're restoring the true and original religion. They don't have a date. Okay? Again, these are the dates that we want to use. Okay? This is a very helpful little chart here. Gives you some kind of a chronological understanding of how this unfolds. 6 key dates. Okay? 610 is called the Night of Power. Right? This is when he gets his first revelation, right? The angel Gabriel appears to him. We'll talk about that in a minute. The night journey, he's driven out of Mecca, right? Goes to Medina. 637 is the Battle of the Trench. Muhammad invented trench warfare. You know, World War I. Yeah, he was outnumbered by the army from Mecca that was coming to kill him. So he took his followers. They dug trenches, and when the camels and horses came riding up, they popped out of the trench and slaughtered the people from Mecca, right? So he invented trench warfare. It's hard to understand. Okay, do we like Jesus? Yeah, we do. All right. Does Jesus like lead troops into battle and chop off heads and that kind of stuff? Well, Muhammad does. So it's kind of a different understanding. He's a prophet with the sword of Allah. Okay. So he retakes Mecca in 630 AD. He's there for 2 years, and he dies suddenly in 632. And this is going to be the big problem of today. Okay, he died in 632 without a successor. Is that a problem? Yeah. People who are leaders and die without a successor are not really good leaders. And the prime example around here, Franklin Roosevelt died when? April 12th, 1945. And who was the vice president? Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman only met Roosevelt twice since the election, and they had a brief meeting, a superficial meeting about, you know, how's your mother, here's a martini. He was completely cut out of the loop. So 10 days later, Secretary of War Henry Stimson went to Harry S. Truman and said, I have something to tell you. We have this thing called the Manhattan Project. Truman had no idea that we had an atomic bomb. Had no idea. And not preparing your own successor is a really bad thing. Because what ends up happening, you end up with like a power struggle. And a power struggle is not good. Right? It ends up with all kinds of factions developing and hurt feelings and all kinds of stuff. So Muhammad, I guess he thought he was going to live forever. He died in 632 suddenly without a successor. It's a bad thing. Business management stuff. Bad, 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 bad. Okay? So here's young Muhammad, right? And remember, what does he do? he goes to a cave outside of Mecca, and the angel Gabriel appears to him. Angel Gabriel, okay? And the angel Gabriel appears to him, and then he comes back from these series of visions, and he tells people about it, and the people start reciting it back and forth. Muhammad's illiterate, he can't write, but he recites things. He has a great memory, he recites it, recite, and through repetition, that's how the Quran was first passed on, right? So his followers followed him because of his vision. And this is a great picture. Who's the guy in the middle without a face? That's Muhammad, right? It's against Islamic law to draw a picture of Muhammad, because he's supposed to be holy, and you're not allowed to make images and that sort of thing. So they have a bugaboo about faces, right? Last week, Linda and I went down to Metropolitan Museum of Art, and they have a great exhibit of Turkish and Islamic art down there. And what's amazing about it, they have excellent ceramic tiles, geometric patterns, elaborate. They pour all their energy into calligraphy, beautiful writing, and geometric patterns instead of drawing portraits of people. So there's like no faces in the entire exhibit, but these unbelievable geometric designs. That's kind of an interesting thing. Testimony of Islam. Okay, ready? What is Islam anyway? Why did Islam succeed? Here's one of the mysteries, I think. If you say to somebody, I want to be a Christian, what do you have to do? Okay, here's the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed, and my favorite, the Athanasian Creed. You want to take that home and study it. And when you can recite the Athanasian Creed, then we'll consider you for baptism. Okay, is that a problem? That's a lot to learn, right? We have this long, complex thing. With Islam, you have to say the words. Say the words. There is one God, his name is Allah, his prophet is Muhammad. That means you're Islamic. Okay? Now, here's another thing that's really interesting. What religion are you? You don't know?
Christian.
No. You're Islamic.
Catholic.
You just don't know it. So the default position is that everyone is Islamic. Like you're Islamic right now, you just don't know it. Okay? So what happens when you say, there is one God, his name is Allah, his prophet is Muhammad? That means you've woken up from your delirium of not knowing that you're Islamic. That's kind of interesting, right? So you are Islamic, you just have, and now, are you going to say this testimony someday? Yes, you are.
No,
When?
That one?
Yeah. When you're being driven into hell, your last words before you're shoveled into the oven is, there is one God whose name is Allah, his prophet is Muhammad. You have to say the words. And because you refuse to say the words in your lifetime, you're going to hell. That's pretty blunt, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Right? So you are Islamic now, you just don't know it. Right? So what do you call people who are not Islamic? Well, they're infidels because they refuse to see the truth.
Oh.
What do you do with people that can't receive the truth?
Tell them.
Well, first of all, you tell them that there is one God, his name is Allah, and if you say, and not so much, well, then you're an infidel. And what do? Well, you kill them.
Yeah.
Right? They're non-persons. You see how that works? Okay?
Yeah.
Ideally, you're going to come around. Go ahead.
But we say there is one God. Not the rest of it, but
Yeah.
we say there is no God but one God.
Yeah, and they would say that our God is a false God, that Jews and drunken monks like made up all the stuff that's in the Bible. So if you read the Bible, we believe in the Holy Trinity, one God, you know, but Allah is a different God. So if people say it all the time, well, we worship the same God. Well, not really. Allah is a different God than Yahweh.
Yeah.
Okay? So keep that distinction in mind. People who don't know anything about comparative religion will always say it's the same God, same thing, what's the difference? You know, well, there's a big difference, right? We might as well do it now, okay? Where are we? Here. Where's Allah? Up there. How far up there is he?
Way.
Way up. Stratosphere, okay? Now, what does Allah think about you? He doesn't. Okay? Like, what do you think of an ant walking on the sidewalk? We don't. You don't think about that because it's a different level, right? So, how do you get up there?
You don't.
Believe
You
in
don't.
Jesus.
He's like an oriental potentate. So, if the king of the Ottoman Empire, the Sultan or whatever, says something, what's the right answer? Yes. Right? There's no arguing or no debate or anything, because he's like a potentate sitting on the throne, and you're like a slave or a non-person. Okay? Remember, Islam means submission. Submission to who? To the big potentate in the sky. Okay? So do they have intercessory prayer? You know what that is? Oh, Jesus, heal Uncle Fred from the growth on his face. We're tired of looking at him. He's ugly. No. So they don't have intercessory prayer. So instead you say, help Uncle Fred accept the growth on his face. So there's no prayers for healing or anything like that. They don't have that. Because again, why would a potentate care about the fate of the non-persons or the slaves or whatever? There's no, So what do Christians believe? For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Whoever believes in him will not perish. What do you mean? Jesus died. God died for you. Well, in Islam, there's no anybody dying for you. And it's all based on law. Right? What's law? Submission. You have to go by the laws. And if you go by the laws, in Judgment Day, there's going to be two scales, like in the cartoons, where you put your good deeds in one and bad. And if it goes like this, then you're going to hell. If it goes like this, then you get to go to paradise. It's kind of like going to the meat market or something, like depending on how the weights and measures. Okay? So it's a different religion. Okay? Now, does this appeal to people who are like warriors? Yeah, it's like a man thing. I can do it. I can save myself. I don't need Jesus dying for me. Right? If you say the creed, then you get to go to war, and you get to keep whatever you pick up along the way, which that's how you're paid. So this is one of the reasons why Islam spread so rapidly, that it's a very simple and direct creed message. Like there's no like study for 10 years and come back when you've mastered the Holy Trinity or something. So it's kind of interesting, right? So from a marketing perspective, it's a good idea. It's a good slogan. You deserve a break today. You know what I mean? It's like a slogan that you can remember. Okay? This is calligraphy. You got beautiful writing. This is the testimony of Islam. The seal of the prophets, again, what does that mean again? He's the last of a long line of prophets. So don't make the mistake of thinking that Mohammad just appears as the new religion. No, if you read the Quran, there are a series of prophets. And if you read the Bible like I do, who's a prophet? Adam, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Lot, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Jethro, Solomon, David, Job, Ezekiel, Elisha, Jonah, Zechariah, John the Baptist, and Isa. Who's Isa? ISA? You don't know? That's Jesus.
No.
ISA, Isa. That's what they call him in the Quran. Isa, that's Jesus. So, do they say that the Bible is wrong or something? No, they would go, the Bible is correct, except it has to be interpreted through the lens of the Quran. See that? So the last prophet or the last book trumps all previous books. And how did the Bible get to be corrupted then? Well, drunken monks and Jews changed the Bible to try to hide the truth that we're all really Islamic. So that's why it doesn't do any good. We sit down to an Islamic person and go, John 3:16, John 3:16, doesn't do any good. Because they think that that's a corruption, that the drunken monks changed that in the Middle Ages. So they don't trust the Bible, in other words. Okay, this is the angel Gabriel again. 12 facts about the prophet Muhammad that every Muslim should know. Okay, he's born in Mecca. Okay, so born in Mecca. His mother died. He's an orphan. Okay, that's an interesting thing. He's an orphan. Okay, that's kind of interesting, right? Orphan boy. And what does that mean in the ancient world? Unless you have a patron, somebody to help you and protect you, basically you're kind of on your own. Okay. During his uncle was like his grandfather, kind of took care of him. That was his patron. For the first 54 years of his life, he only had one wife. Okay, so he doesn't do polygamy until he gets older. They had sons, but the sons died, which is a problem. What's primogenitor mean? The oldest son inherits. So the fact that he didn't have biological children to inherit from the first wife is a problem. Okay. The angel Gabriel came to him, right, and said, "Read in the name of Allah and recite." And Muhammad says, "I can't read or write." So now. Does that mean you're stupid if you can't read and write? No, it means that you can't read and write, but people have phenomenal memories. Remember the Mongolian national epic, the boys sitting around the campfire, 19 hours long. 19 hours. They recite the Mongolian national epic. And what happens if you make a mistake?
It doesn't count.
One of the old guys will come up, Mike, and they'll correct you. Yeah, we're familiar with that concept, right? To make sure you have the ancient ritual preserved in the correct way. So oral tradition, believe it or not, is people have remarkable memories. There are actually people in Africa that memorize the entire Quran. You know, they go to a madrasa, and the boys sit around and they recite from the time they're like 10 years old, and they have the whole Quran memorized. That's pretty amazing. Age 9, he started trade trips, so he travels extensively in Arabia, right? And he runs into Jews, okay? And there are Jews in Arabia, yeah. And what do you do when you sit around the campfire? The camels are resting, and so what do? You tell stories. So we heard a lot of these Jewish stories around the campfire. He had Abraham, he had a son Isaac, and then there's King David, and so in other words, the Jewish stories, he's familiar with these stories, in other words. Age 25, he gets married, and his wife is 40 years old. She's a rich widow. I gotta tell my college students this all the time. Don't tell me you're in love with Toots or whatever. Nah. You want to find an old woman with a lot of money and marry her. Believe me, you'll be happy in the long run. You're going to love the Pastor Mark. It was the best advice ever. I just got back from the French Riviera. It's a fantastic thing, right? So he married an older woman. It's good advice from Muhammad. Angel Gabriel came back with his revelations. He started teaching it to people. His prophethood, he's a prophet for 23 years until he dies. And now he's one of the most popular names in the world. And he died in 632. Okay, this is, again, beautiful geometry, calligraphy. Okay, let's talk about the Quran. This is the holy book of Islam. Okay, and this, in the Catholic Church, what does it mean if you reserve the host? Come on, Catholics. You don't know that? Okay, when you come to a Catholic church and you see that red candle lit there, what does that mean? It means that the priest has been there like at 10 o'clock this morning and said Mass, and you take the communion wafer and you put it in a little cabinet there. It's called reserving the host. So what do you do when you walk into a Catholic church and see that candle lit? Yes, why is that?
It shows your respect.
Yeah, because it's the body of Christ, okay, so that's how they think of the Quran. Okay? So where do you keep the Quran? You keep it like in the bottom drawer? No, you keep it at the highest shelf in your house. The way you would have a reserved host in a Catholic church. It's considered a holy book. Are you allowed to write in the Quran? This is my student edition, so I have notes all over the place in this thing. You're not allowed to write in the Quran. That's considered desecrating the Quran, the Word of God. Okay, I have notes all over it because I'm studying this, Okay, it has 114 surahs. Okay, so if you notice, this is the Bible, this is the Quran. Notice it's a lot thinner, isn't it? Okay, and it has 114 surahs. These are like chapters, and they're arranged longest to the shortest. How's it arranged?
Longest to shortest.
The longest chapter to the shortest chapter.
Yeah,
Now, what happens if a Western person like me or like you starts to read the Quran? What are you going to say? What the heck is this? Because we think in linear terms. Alpha and the Omega, we think, historic, linear. Well, in the Orient, they don't think that way. The best analogy is, remember 8-track tapes from the 60s? You remember that, right? You put the tape in, it keeps playing a loop over and over and over and over again, right? We listened to the American Graffiti soundtrack for 2.5 weeks before the machine ate the tape, right? So it's like, it plays over and over and over. That's what you do with the Quran. What happens if you play the tape over and over and over? You recite it over and over again on Madras, what happens? Your brain takes it apart and puts it together in a logical order. It's kind of interesting, actually, right? So it's not in chronological order. It's like longest to the shortest chapter. It would be like if you took the Bible, the New Testament, and put each chapter on a card and shuffled the cards or something and then tried to read it. It doesn't make sense, right? It's very frustrating if you're a Western educated person. So longest to the shortest. And they're not ranged topically or anything like that. It's the length of the scroll. Not linear, it's chaotic and random. But it works if you recite it over and over and over again, then you kind of dismantle it. It's an odd collection, okay, of what? Arab, Jewish, Gnostic Christian myths, fables, and legends. So it doesn't have a story, you know, in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and then you roll on to, you know, Adam and Eve, and Cain and Abel. It has a story, right? There's no story here. It's kind of like, I don't want to be sacrilegious here, albeit, okay? Go to the bus station in Kingston, and there'll be a bench there, and there'll be some kind of a crazy guy with Tourette syndrome who reads the Bible, and he'll be weird stuff coming out of his mouth. God is holy, God is great, God is the exalted one. God, okay, it doesn't make any sense, but they're like religious sayings kind of randomly thrown in there. That's sort of what the Quran is like, right? He's like praising Allah, but it doesn't like tell a story. Like there's no story with it. It's kind of odd, you know. And there's Christian myths in there. Okay, let me talk about this one. There's a story in the Quran where Mary is in the Quran, Mother of our Lord. So Mary's walking along one day and she's hungry. And so there's a fig tree over here. And what does the tree do? The tree bends over so that Mary can pick the figs and eat the figs. Now, is that in the New Testament?
No.
Well, it's a Gnostic Christian story. That the Gnostic Christians, they're heretics, you know, they're not like Roman Catholic Christians, Catholic, you know. So they have a story about Mary. Do we like Mary? Yeah. It's kind of an interesting story, but it's in the Quran. And so if you say to them, well, there's no record of Mary ever having the fig tree bend over and eat, well, they would say, well, then the Bible's wrong. See, because the Quran is always right. See how that works? Very, very strange. So there's like odd things in there. And there's tales and legends and myths and so on in there. Here's the Quran. Again, you know, it's written in classical Arabic. Okay, this is an interesting thing. Name the largest Islamist country in the world, Indonesia. Do people in Indonesia speak or read classical Arabic? The answer is no, not unless you're a scholar. So most Islamic people are not from Arabia. And Arabic has different dialects. There's like an Egyptian Arabic dialect. There's one that they speak in the greater Baghdad area. There's a different dialect in Saudi Arabia, but it's still Arabic. Classical Arabic would be like, I don't know, King James Shakespearean English or something, early modern English. And in order to be a Masonic scholar, you have to memorize the Quran in classical Arabic. So I have a translation, because I don't read classical Arabic. It's got Arabic in one column and English translation in the other. So they would say, well, you can't criticize us because you're reading the English translation, not the classical Arabic. So in order to critique them, you have to learn classical Arabic in order to argue the Arabic words with them directly.
Oh.
So that works? So it's a very interesting thing. Again, they would say a translation is a corruption of the pure, so God speaks classical Arabic. Okay, here's this is what Arabic looks like. And this is called calligraphy, beautiful writing. Surah, it has 114 surahs, 6,000 verses, about 79,000 words, and there's 300. The Holy Bible is 3 times longer than the Quran. Okay, and remember, what do we say about the Bible? The conservative way, the Bible is written by 40 human authors over a period of 1,500 years. Whereas the Quran was recited to Muhammad, and his disciples wrote it down, and that's how you get the Quran. Okay, so it's a 632 book AD, right? But then wait, if you say to them, well, it's a relatively recent innovation. Look, we found these Gnostic stories about Mary and the fig tree or something. Well, they would say, no, the Quran always existed in the mind of Allah. Okay? Up there, right? And it was revealed to Muhammad who died in 632. Okay, you got that? So it's like Muhammad didn't write it. So don't ever say Muhammad wrote the Quran. No, it existed forever, eternity, like the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory, right? So we would say Jesus. So they would say Jesus is like the Quran. The Quran, He existed in all eternity. So the Quran is revealed to Muhammad, okay? So it's their holy book. All right, let's do Allah and Gabriel. Okay, what is this all about? Where's Allah? Way up there. Where's Muhammad? Here. How does He get His message to us down here? Well, He used an angel intermediary, messenger of God. And where does the name Gabriel sound familiar to you? Yeah. The angel Gabriel appears to Mary. Okay? And of course in Renaissance art, this is the angel Gabriel. Remember, angels are not female or male. They're like neuter, right? They're neuter beings. And here's the Annunciation, where the angel Gabriel is appearing to Mary, announcing you were going to be the mother of the Messiah. Right? I love this one. This is a pre-Raphael Brotherhood painting. Right? There's Mary. So angel Gabriel. Okay, so here we go. Again, notice the prophet's face is blotted out. Right? But the angel Gabriel has the wings, and he's the one reciting the Quran to Muhammad. A little bit of angel stuff here. This is a Christian icon. And what color is heaven? Gold. In icons, heaven is always gold. Okay? And the L means God. So in the Canaanite language, in God we trust. L, okay? Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel. The name of God is always embedded in an angel name. Okay? So the angel Gabriel is a Old Testament and a New Testament angel. So not only did Gabriel appear to Mary, but Gabriel also appears in the Old Testament, which is interesting. So where do you think Muhammad got that from? Compared to religion? Well, sitting around the campfire talking to Jews and Christians, right? So the name would have been, it would have resonated. People go, okay, yeah, Gabriel, we've heard of that before. And the name means God is my strength, God is my might of God. That's the name Gabriel means. Purpose and function of angels, again, 3-hour lecture. They're transcendent. Holy God is way up there. We're profane down here. How do you bridge the gap between holy God and profane people? That's what angels are for. They're messengers. Do we pray to angels? No. They're messengers, right? We'll do a whole thing on angelology sometime, but it's a similar, if you understand Christianity and Judaism, angels, same thing in Islam. Okay? Gabriel, right, he delivers the message. Michael is depicted, this is Christian, he's the guardian, Michael's the guardian angel of police and military. That's kind of interesting. Raphael is considered in Islam to be some of the angel that trying to signal the coming of the judgment day, Raphael, right? All right, the Quran is greater, we did this already, the Quran is greater than the Holy Bible. Okay, so this is the interpretive lens that they go through. So you can't say, well, the Bible says this. Well, they don't care about that. They'll say it's corrupted. And here's the Quran, right? This is the same edition here. The Quran is what? Perfect and uncorrupted, the final revelation of Allah. You got that? Okay? So if it's perfect and uncorrupted, what does that mean? Are you allowed to say something like, gee, there are 13 books in the New Testament attributed to Paul, only 7 of them will be considered authentic. Christian scholars do that all the time. Or they'll say, oh, the Quelle document is the sayings of Jesus that appear in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And yet, well, we do criticism of the text all the time. We study it all the time. You know, comparing, you're not allowed to do that with the Quran. The Quran is it, that's it. There's no, what sources did Muhammad use? What Jews did he talk to around the campfire? What Gnostic Christian documents did he use to get the Mary and the fig tree story? No, that's it. It said it, that's case closed. So there's no criticism of the text. New Testament, have we been doing criticism of the text for a long time? Oh, I don't know. 500 years, 300 years, 200 years, heavy duty. Virtually every line, every article has been ripped to shreds and put back together again repeatedly by scholars, right? I'm a Bible scholar for 30 years. We study and analyze. Every week when I do a sermon, I sit down and analyze the text and talk about this and that. What's the cultural background? You're not allowed to do that with the Quran, okay? The Holy Bible must be interpreted via the Quran lens. The Holy Bible is worthless because it's been corrupted by generations of Jews, Jewish and Christian scribes, right? And what's the goal? Jews and Christians suppress and try to hide the truth about Islam, okay? So why is it that the Palestinians are like bonkers over Israel and Jews? Well, because they think they're false, you know, they've corrupted the Bible because they don't accept Muhammad.
Where's the proof of that?
Oh, right here. What else do you need?
You don't need it.
It's in the Quran, right?
Just because the Quran says it.
Yeah.
The Quran says that Jews and Christians
are not
suppressed the
that we're
truth.
Islamic, but we don't know it yet, and because we refuse to believe it, therefore we're infidels. Right? So that works. So it's more than just a territorial grab. This is called textual criticism of the New Testament. We'll do this another day. There's more than 5,800 New Testament manuscripts and parts of manuscripts, and they're all documented at different universities around the world. This is New Testament. This is from the United Bible Society of Stuttgart, Germany. These are called critical apparatus. So they take all these texts and they have assembled what we believe is the original Greek New Testament. So the New Revised Standard Version that we read in church every Sunday, well, that's the product of like 300 years worth of study like this. Mm-hmm. So when you read in the church, yeah, well, what is it? Well, that's what it says. Yeah, but it offends me. Well, that's what it says, right? So we've like reconstructed what we think is the text after heavy duty research. A lot of work went into this. In other words, so you can have confidence in the Bible. Here's the Greek New Testament. Right? Now, the canon of the Quran grew over time. To make a long story short, Muhammad dies in 632, and his followers said, well, Muhammad's around, he could recite it, but he's not around anymore, what are we going to do? So they collected parchments, palm branches that had writings on them, and they went through the text and they assembled what we call the Quran. So within about 100 years of Muhammad's death, the Quran is put together the way, and yes, it's the authentic one and all that kind of stuff. See how that works? So Muhammad didn't ever publish the Quran. It was in oral tradition, and it was assembled through scraps of paper that were assembled, and then all the other documents relating to it were destroyed, so there's only one text. Okay? So it's a systematic thing.
What does AH mean?
There's an Islamic calendar, right? So when Muhammad goes from, in 622, when he leaves Mecca and marches to Medina, that's year one in the Islamic calendar. Like what year is it now? 2024, Anno Domini, year of our Lord, because Dennis the Short, Pepin the Short, a Scythian monk, thought that Jesus was born in the year 1 AD. Mm. He's probably born in 7 BC. So our calendar is a Christian calendar. They don't go by the Christian calendar. It's a lunar calendar, right? That means like, what, every 28, 29 days when the moon is a full moon, right? That's their calendar. So when they do Ramadan, it takes 14 years to go through the cycle, right? Because it's a lunar and we're in a solar calendar, so it doesn't compute. So Ramadan moves all the time, right? When is Easter? First Sunday after the first full moon of the spring equinox. Tonight, for some reason, is the first night of Passover. It must have been some kind of a division. Sometimes Passover and Easter are on the same day, but here it's a month apart. So it has to do with the lunar calendar.
Pastor?
Yes.
So are there any witnesses to the stories in the Quran like there are in the Bible?
Not really.
What,
There you go.
They're not stories. Remember,
Well,
they're sayings.
Whatever is in the Quran.
Yeah.
They're just sayings.
Yeah, Muhammad came out of the cave and he recited it to his followers, and the followers remembered it and wrote some of it down, and that's the Quran.
But there are
So
no
there's nobody.
witnesses.
There wasn't like somebody that saw. I saw the angel Gabriel reciting to Muhammad. I was hiding around the entrance of the cave. No, you just sort of have to go with what he said. I'm the seal of the prophets. The angel Gabriel appeared to me.
Wow.
Well, you're just an infidel, right? It's kind of like with the Book of Mormon, right? So Joseph Smith found the gold plates at the Hill Cumorah up by Palmyra, and he had these special glasses, Reformed Egyptian. He was able to translate the Book of Mormon. Well, if you trust Joseph Smith as being a prophet, well, then it's no problem. But if you say, I'm a little skeptical about this, well, then you're not a Mormon. Same thing. So the Mormonism and Islam are kind of similar in that way. They have a prophet who comes with a revelation, and you're expected to believe the revelation uncritically. How that works? All right. The Ishmael myth. Okay, this one here is a real deal breaker. Now, this is fascinating stuff here. All right. This is a postage stamp, Eid. I think we just had it like a couple weeks ago. Eid, okay? Eid Mubarak. Okay, what's that? It's a postage stamp. So don't be Lutherans like you. You know, I like to be inclusive, so I use Eid stamps all the time. Okay, ready? What's wrong with an Eid stamp? Okay? It's a deal breaker, that's what it is, right? So it's the greatest example of sacrifice is Eid. Okay, what is this? Remember the story of Genesis 22, 1 through 18? Of course you don't. Okay? What is that story? God gives Abraham a son. Okay? He's 100 and his wife is 90. They've been waiting since he was 75 and his wife Sarah was 65 for the son to be born. Finally, the son is born. Then, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, God has a message to Abraham. Take your son, Isaac, take your son, and offer him as a burnt offering. In other words, slit his throat and cook him. So what does Abraham do? He packs up the kid, leaves in the morning, probably so mom wouldn't find out. You know, where are you going? We're going hunting. Yeah, sure. Okay. Isaac takes the wood on his back. They go up to this place. We believe the place is the rock where King Solomon's temple, the Holy of Holies, is. Mount Moriah. Okay? And there, Isaac says, well, we have the fire, we have the knife, we have the wood. Where's the sacrifice? And Abraham says, God will provide a sacrifice, my son. So he binds Isaac, puts him on the wood pile. He's about ready to dispatch the kid, and an angel intervenes right at the last second. And instead, over in the bushes, there's a ram, male lamb. The Lamb of God takes away the sins of the world. That's the sacrifice. Okay? Now, is that sort of an important story with Christianity?
Yes.
Yeah, really important. Okay? And here he is, here he is about to dispatch his son, right? Abraham believed God. Here's the angel intervening, right? This is like, and look at the angel, it has the ram. Isn't that interesting? This is Caravaggio. I love Caravaggio, right? He's a Renaissance painter with a lot of issues, you know. And here he is. Abraham is about to slit the kid's throat, and the kid's like calling out, "What are you doing, you crazy old guy?" And here's the angel intervening. And here's the ram. See that? Well, in the Quran, it's Surah number 37, verses 102 to 108. In the Quran, who's that kid there? Huh? That's Abraham. That's the angel. Who's the kid?
Ishmael.
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay? So, call me Ishmael. That's a good line from the Moby Dick, right? So, Eid is the festival of sacrifice where they celebrate the almost sacrifice of the child of promise who is Isaac, who is Ishmael.
Yeah.
Is that a problem? Matthew chapter 1, 1 through 17, 3 sets of 14 generations. Abraham has a son named who? Isaac. And go to the end of the list. So Isaac is a descendant of David. Then you go down, and who is the descendant of Abraham and David? Jesus. So, if Ishmael is the child of God, the child of promise, then who's Jesus? Nothing. The Arabs are God's chosen people, not the Jews. Eid is a huge problem. It's a deal breaker. So you can't say, all gods are alike. Islam is a religion of peace. It's a wonderful thing. No, if you think Eid is a real thing, well then you're saying Isaac is not the child of promise. He has to be the child of promise because that's an ancestor of Jesus. So you're saying Jesus is a fake. See how that works? It's no both and here. It's either it's Isaac or it's Ishmael. Okay? So who do the people in the Middle East think is the child of promise? The Palestinians think that Ishmael is a child of promise, and they're God's chosen people, and they're meant to have the land that the Jews are now occupying. Therefore, river to the sea, kill them all. See how that works? So the conflict is like rooted in how do you understand the scripture, okay? The politics is kind of the icing on the cake. If Ishmael is a child of promise, then Judaism and Christianity are both false religions, and Jesus is not the Messiah. So Jesus dying on the cross doesn't do anything for you if he's not who? 100% God, 100% man, the law of God takes away the sins of the world. He has to be the second member of the Holy Trinity, all that stuff. All that is negated if he's not of the tribe of Judah. He doesn't fulfill the 333 Messianic prophecies. So you're wasting your time being a Christian.
So how can they just say that without...
Because they're depending on people being stupid.
Yeah,
Well,
How many of you
clearly.
know about Genesis 22, Abraham almost sacrificing Isaac?
Well, we know it.
Yeah, well, you should.
Yeah.
But do you know that their idea is that Ishmael is the child of promise? It's in the Quran. And if it's in the Quran, what does that mean? It means,
It trumps the Bible.
oh, Jews changed the story in the Bible. We have to take out that Isaac part and put Ishmael in there. See how that works?
So they could just say anything and
Well, they don't just say anything. It's in the...
don't argue with us. This is...
Yeah, their meta-narrative is in the Quran, and what is it? It's the Word of God that's in the mind of Allah that existed for all eternity. It's like a communion wafer in the Catholic Church. See what I mean?
You know what it is.
Well, no, but you have to understand. You have to understand when you talk to these people, that's what you're up against. It's like circular reasoning, you know.
It's Satan.
Well, yeah, okay. Some people say that. Okay. It's also the ultimate sexist religion. Don't give me a 3-hour lecture on this. Women have to wear hijabs, burqas when they go out. They can't drive in Saudi Arabia, you know. And does this appeal to like men? Yeah, we like this stuff, right? Women have to do what they're told. You know, it's kind of like around my house, right? Well, I guess not, right? No, there's no like. Women are treated like second-class citizens, like they're slaves. Okay, master-slave relationship that's common in the Islamic world. So it's a 3-hour lecture on that.
Do they have to pray, the women?
Yeah, but not with the men. It's a man religion.
But do they have to do that every day also? Like
Yeah, they pray
men
5
do?
times a day toward Mecca, but they'd be like up here or another room or something. If you ever see a mosque, it's like 1,000 men
Yeah.
facing toward Mecca praying at the same time. Women are like, yeah, we don't care about women.
But they're doing it.
Yeah, they're praying in another place, right? And circular reasoning, right? So, there is one God, his name is Allah, his prophet is Mohammad. What book do you use? We use the Quran. Okay, well, the Bible says, well, no, because the Quran says this. So they keep coming back to the same, you know, Muhammad is the prophet, he's a seal of the prophets, the Quran's the word of God, it's the interpretive lens and all. So in other words, it's like a broken record. You can't make any progress with them. Okay? The Quran claims that what? Jesus is a Muslim. This is pretty interesting. And that he was merely one of many prophets foretold by the prophet Muhammad. Why? Because the seal of the prophets, right? So again, who's Jesus here? One of their sayings is, oh, we believe in the Holy Trinity. Oh, they think the Holy Trinity is the Father, Jesus, and Mary.
Oh my.
Okay? And they would say, God cannot have a wife, therefore Jesus cannot be the Son of God. That's one of their sayings. Okay? So Jesus, he's a prophet in Islam. Here he is, Islamic prophet. So they like him as long as he agrees with, they select things. Surah 4:1, they say, we killed Christ Jesus, Isa, the son of Mary. So he's the son of Mary. They believe that. Messenger of Allah. Who's Jesus? He's a messenger of Allah. But they killed him not. In other words, Jesus wasn't actually crucified, right? It only appeared that he was crucified. Okay? So if he wasn't really crucified, he didn't really die. Okay? So without the death, burial, resurrection of Christ, that's the whole point of Christianity. Okay? So they negate Christianity. They didn't kill him, in other words. He didn't really die. He didn't die on the cross. He was given a drug to make it look like he died on the cross. He faked out the Romans, and a couple days later he showed up again. Okay? Jesus said, indeed, I am the servant of Allah. Okay? That says in the Quran. Well, it's Surah 19, verse 3. Okay, so if you say, Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, okay, that's in the Bible. But in the Quran it says, I am a servant of Allah. Which one which one takes the day? The Quran takes the day. See how that works? Jesus said, indeed, Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship him. That is the straight path to salvation. Surah 19:36. So Jesus said that you need to worship Allah. Okay? And why? Because it's in the Quran. So it's a circular argument again. Okay? Who is Jesus? Prophet, priest, king, threefold office of Christ, this Christian theology. They would say, well, Christianity is polytheistic. They don't understand the Trinity. Okay? They would say, Father, Mary, and Jesus. The Bible, they confuse Miriam, the sister of Moses, and Mary, the mother of our Lord. This is another thing. Because they don't do chronological stuff, it gets jumbled up. Right? How many Marys in the New Testament? 7 that we know of? Right? So you have to be careful which Mary you're talking about at what time. And Miriam is the sister of Moses in the Old Testament. Well, Moses is like back there, 1,500 years ago. Allah does not have a wife, therefore he can have a son. The Quran rejects the divinity of Christ. He's just a man. So they're common beliefs. So they like Jesus and they like Mary, but he's secondary to the Prophet Muhammad. Okay? 5 pillars of Islam. All right, this is like the key thing. We don't have time for all this. The testimony, there is one God. They pray 5 times a day toward Mecca. Almsgiving is 2.5%. Is that a good thing? Yeah. We give, 10%. We tithe our income to Pastor Joe Oldstein. We send it in, and he buy like a helicopter for his mansion or something. What they do, you give the money directly to the poor person. I like that idea. Don't give the money to me. You give the money to the homeless guy. And you take him into your house and you take care of him. That's more successful, I think. And they fast during the month of Ramadan. How does that work? 3-hour lecture. They don't eat during daylight. And when the sun goes down, they have a huge feast of the night. So they eat at night and not eat during the day. No, not even water. Right? Very interesting. And the Hajj, once in a lifetime, you have to go to Mecca on a pilgrimage. 3 holy sites, Mecca, Medina, Jerusalem. Why do you pray toward Mecca? Right? Well, this is again, there's Sir Richard Burton. I'll do a whole talk on him sometime. I want to get to this. Here's the Kaaba at the center of Mecca. You have to march around it 7 times. And here's what it looks like, the black stone. Muhammad smashed his 365 idols that were in Mecca. And there is one God. He thought the Arabs were weak because they were polytheistic, they worshipped each tribe had their own God, and they were fighting all the time. So if there's one God, and it's Allah, you smash all the idols. So that's one of the secrets of Islam. It's monotheism with an attitude. Got this? That's a good definition of it. There's one God, his name is Allah. How many gods are there? There's one God. There's no Holy Trinity, there's no deity of Christ stuff. And it's Islam, right? The Quran is essentially one long monotheistic rant. Okay? The crazy guy at the bus stop with Tourette syndrome, right? It's like one that Allah is right, Allah is one. That's what it is. Okay? Here's Medina. This is the kind of the birthplace of Islam. It's the second holy site. the prophet is buried there. He died there in 632 and he's buried there. So it's a holy site. Right? There's the Battle of the Trench. Here's the third holy site, the Dome of the Rock, which is over the Holy of Holies. That's the first and second temple in Judaism. What's the big fight about? Who gets control of the Temple Mount right now? Okay? And this mosque has been there, this Dome of the Rock has been there since around the year 900 AD. Here's the foundation stone. We think that's the Holy of Holies. And there, I was there. I knocked on the door. They wouldn't let me in because there was some kind of terrorist stuff going on. So I couldn't get in to see the rock. I came all this way and I couldn't get in. And this is the angel Barak appeared to Muhammad and took him up to heaven to see things. And the departure, the launching pad was the rock in Jerusalem. Muhammad never went to Jerusalem. But because he had the dream of the angel Barak taking him as a winged horse, like Pegasus, took him up to heaven. So that's why it's the third holiest site in Islam. You want to have World War III? Go ahead. Blow up the Dome of the Rock and put a temple, Jewish temple there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They'd lose their minds. They have a principle in Islam. Once a territory has been conquered by the armies of Islam, it's forever Islamic. Okay? So what does that mean? Is Israel a Jewish homeland? Hell no. It's a place the Arabs took in 638 AD, so it's forever Islamic. There's no debate. See how that works? And Spain was conquered in 711 AD, so Spain is really Islamic territory, and we should give it back. Okay? They were kicked out of Spain in 1492, right? Arab term, or the infidel, rejecter, disbeliever, unbeliever, non-believer, that would be us. Right? Okay, he dies suddenly, and then you have the problem of who's going to be the successor of Muhammad. It's a huge problem. The first four caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, right, and Ali is the fourth one. Okay, so 3 of the 4 were assassinated. Okay? How do you get to be the head of the mafia? Well, you got to be the toughest one there and don't be assassinated. You have to take out all your rivals. That's what this is. Okay? They're murdered. And Ali is the cousin of Muhammad. It's a blood link. Okay? That's important. Because why? Well, because Ali is going to be he's going to be martyred. Okay? And the separation, here's Abu Bakr collecting the fragments that becomes the Quran. And he burned all the ones that conflicted. Now, Islam today has about 1 billion members, 900 billion, let's say. 90%, 80%, so called 90% are Sunni Muslims, 10% are Shiites. You have to understand this, okay? Sunnis and Shiites. And so Islam is not monolithic. We tend to think, oh, Christianity's divided, we have all these different, yeah, Islam is like that except more so, right? Protestant, Catholics, Pentecostals, all that kind of stuff. Sunni Islam is centered in Iran, which used to be called Persia. The Parthians who fought the Romans for 600 years, the Romans lost, right? So Iran has been a problem for the Middle East for like 2,000 years. They're a huge problem. And Saudi Arabia is the homeland of what? Mecca and Medina. Mecca, Medina, Jerusalem. Okay, so these people are Sunnis. These people are Shiites. What do Sunnis hate more than like Jews or Catholics? They hate Shiites, right? And Shiites hate Sunnis. They think that the Sunnis are apostate. They think Shiites think that they're heretics. It's a major division. Okay, so the Middle East right now is a contest between who's going to have hegemony: the Sunnis, based in Saudi Arabia with their allies, or the Shiites who run Iran. So who's going at it right now? Hamas is bankrolled by Shiites in Iran, and they also bankroll the militia units in the northern part of Iraq. Hezbollah, that's a Shiite militia group. So they get their money from Iran. Okay? Okay, and here's, are you ready? Now, here's where it gets really, these are like different factions in Islam. But the Sunni-Shiite split is the biggie. And this is the holy city of Karbala, right? And this is a Shiite sect called the Twelvers, okay? What does this mean? Muhammad has 12 imams that are successors, okay? The last imam, he's the Al-Mahdi. He went into hiding in 941 AD. He went down into a well and disappeared. And what are they waiting for now? The 12th Mahdi is going to return just before end time judgment day. This Book of Revelation stuff, okay? And here he is, the 12th Mahdi, right? He's going to return. He's called the Guided One. He's a figure in Masonic eschatology, end time study. And he's going to return at the end of time to rid the world of evil and injustice. What does that mean?
That'd be nice.
That would be us. Yeah. What do you think they think of, like, Western civilization? They're probably right about that.
Yeah.
You know, you have like kids at the Red Hook Junior High that are dogs and they walk down the street and they're Furbies or something, and I'd want to nuke the place too, okay? So they see, you know, pornography, alcoholism, drug addiction, everything that Hollywood movies, right? Turn on the TV, your head will explode, right? So they want to rid the world of that. They're puritanical. And they believe the 12th Imam is going to return, right? And it's central to the Twelver idea in Shiitism, which is centered in where? Iran. You mean if Iran gets an atomic bomb,
Oh, yeah.
they're going to drop it on Israel because they think that it's an end time thing. It'll bring in the 12th Mahdi. It's apocalyptic stuff. You have to understand that. They're religious fanatics, in other words. And he's going to return, lead forces of righteousness against forces of evil, and ultimately will establish peace and justice on earth. What is that? If you only kill all the evil people, like kill all the Jews, we'll have a National Socialist hegemony. Or if you kill all of the bourgeoisie people, like they do in Soviet Union, then the proletariat will take over, we'll have peace and harmony on the other side. It's the same thing. It's a utopian lunatic scheme, okay? And here's the Mahdi returning with banners flying, and who's that guy right behind him? That's Jesus. You see, Jesus is going to come again, but he's going to be led by the 12th the Al-Mahdi, the 12th Imam. Well, what does that mean? It's like the Mahdi goes first, the J-man comes behind him, right? And it's an Islamic Jesus. He's going to come again. And again, what's the message of the Islamic Jesus? Did you believe what I told you when I said Allah is God? No, we didn't, because we believe the New Testament. I'm sorry, you're going to hell. See how that works? So they've got our guy Jesus sending Christians to hell because we don't believe the Quran. That's pretty interesting. All right, jihad, it's a higher or lower. Some jihad means you study and pray a lot. Other means you kill infidels. Okay, with the Caliph, that's the God's appointed leader on earth. The Ottoman Empire ran the entire Middle East for like 500 years. Again, the last Caliph of Islam died in 1922. So they want to try to reestablish the caliphate. So the glory of Islam. Okay, look, we don't understand this. Islam, for like 500 years, is the top dog in the world. They told people like us what to do and how much tax to pay. Now it's the other way around. So they are on the receiving end. Instead of being paid, they're the ones that have to pay. So they don't like that. So they're trying to reverse the order of things that they think was reversed in 1922 when the Ottoman Empire was defeated in World War I, along with the Imperial Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So this is the battle flag, right? Again, September 11th, 16, what is that one? They are at the gates of Vienna, right? And these are winged hussars, Roman Catholic kings from Poland that came riding down and saved the Christian faith. If they would have taken Islam, they would have overrun Germany. We would be Islamic right now. So we came like this close. So these winged hussars saved the day. Islam, religion, and peace. You have three options, right? Convert to Islam voluntarily, pay the jizya. What's that? You can be a Christian, but you have to pay like a punitive tax. You know, like people who live in New York. Yeah, you know, you have punitive taxes. Or you'll be defeated in a war of conquest to become a slave. So that's your and then you're supposed to pay the tax to Mecca, not New York, the World Trade Center.
Right.
So again, this is a, you know, oh, you who believe the polytheists are spiritually together unclean, right? So in other words, polytheist is what they consider us, infidels. All right? So there's three kinds of people in the world: area where Islam has triumphed, area in the midst of conquest, and areas about to be conquered. So it's like you have like three options there. Major Islamic objections: Christian Jesus, they don't like that. They don't like the corruption of the Bible. They think that, and the crucifixion is a problem. And what do? The death, burial, resurrection of Christ. Right? That's why I talk about this all the time. You have to believe in Jesus, 100% God, 100% man. The Lamb of God takes away the sins of the world, died on the cross for your sins, was buried and rose again. We believe in the DBR. Right? For God so loved the world. That's not in Islam. They don't have that in Islam. Allah doesn't care about you down here. But our God does. And that's the end. Sorry, I tried to finish it